Today, I want to talk a little bit about my experience around creating a new habit or really trying something new and what happens when you try something new. Maybe, you have a new goal or you have a new accomplishment that you need to do, and or maybe there's something new within what you're already doing that needs to be changed in order for you to accomplish something new. And so, how do you really get through this? And I wanted to share an experience that I had recently that made me really think about this topic and how it applies to really anything in life. So last week, I was in a ski clinic where I was asked to do something new, and different than what I've ever done before, in terms of adjusting my stance. And it was something that really didn't feel right to me at all. I felt super awkward and I didn't understand what was wrong with the way I'd been doing things. After all, I've been skiing, most of my life and teaching skiing for the last few years. It's another thing that I do. I just wasn't completely convinced that I needed to do this. I didn't really understand it, but I'm trying to be open minded and I'm always in a growth and learning mindset. So even though it felt awkward, I went ahead and tried it anyways. And I continued to try and I got better, but they still were asking me to do more and push myself further. And, by the end of the day, my legs were exhausted. And the next day, I was super sore. And I thought, like, gosh, I don't know if I want to do this every time I'm skiing. Is it really necessary? But at the same time, I started feeling the difference in maybe a little bit of control and being able to guide my turns a little differently than I had in the past. So, anyways, fast forward, a week later, I'm out on the slopes again and I start going down the run as I always do in my normal stance and technique. And I suddenly remembered, I was like, oh gosh, I want to try this new technique that I learned. And I started working on it. And I was super surprised that by, the end of the run, it felt actually much more normal, much more integrated, and it didn't feel nearly as bad. I mean, my legs and my muscles were still like a little uncomfortable and burning, but I was like, oh gosh, that's strange. It felt so awkward a week ago, but yet today, after a week's rest, it felt much, much different and much more natural. So, I think, as I started looking into muscle memory a little more and learning about that, what I know is that, when you're learning something new, it takes your brain a little while to catch up, but it does learn sort of like behind the scenes while you're maybe not doing something or sleeping. You're processing, your brain is processing and integrating this new technique. So, I was thinking a lot about how this can be incorporated into our everyday lives, into our work lives, into our social lives, into our relationships, and all of that. Especially if you've been working on something for a long time, doing it the same way, but you're not getting the results that you want. Is there something different that you need to be doing? So, and often I know that, when we start doing something new, it can feel really hard and uncomfortable, and sometimes we just want to give up because it doesn't feel right. And, this lesson for me was, go ahead and keep trying, but give it some space to breathe. Let yourself off, the hook for a day or two. Don't force it through because when you force it, then your mind and your body starts resisting and it starts hurting and you're uncomfortable. But if you just try something new for a while and then maybe, put it on the shelf for a couple days and then come back to it and see if it's any easier, see if it's gotten more integrated. And, it really will happen. And, the more you try this type of technique and giving yourself some new assignments and pushing yourself a little bit, but also allowing some breaks in between, you'll notice that sooner than, rather than later, they will become more integrated and you'll start feeling like it's the new normal. And that's really what happened to me when I was skiing. Like that second day, that week after, I started feeling like, hey, this is a new normal. This feels more comfortable. And whereas at first, like I said, I was really struggling and resisting it and I felt off balance and off kilter. But after only that week, I felt like it was more normal and more comfortable. So, one of the best things about working through discomfort is that when you do have that shift, it is so worth it. I mean, having that aha and like, oh my gosh, this isn't so hard anymore. I'm, doing this new plan, and suddenly it feels more um, easy and not as awkward. So when thinking about change, and the things that you might need to flex, what is it that you need to do? What is it that you need to work on that feels awkward? And can you tap into maybe some other resources for support? So, for example, when I was in the ski clinic, I had other people that I was skiing with that said, "Hey, you know what? That looked better that time." And hey, why don't you try this? And they were asking me, about their experience. And so we were able to share with each other, what it was like for them, what it was like for me trying this new technique. And it was amazing how having that support was really helpful. So, and one of the things that I want to point out is that when you are making change, and I just love this statement, but that we have to really get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's just one of those things that, when I first heard it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. I can walk through this discomfort. I don't have to just quit. I don't have to just give up. It's okay to be uncomfortable and get through something until something becomes more habitual or easier or more innate, so to speak. So, anyways, with that, I would love to hear from you and, why you came today, and if there's anything here that resonated with you, and if you would like more information on how to work with me as a coach, please send me a message or head on over to my website, adventuresincoaching.com, and go to my Work With Me page. With that, I will just say keep working on it, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.